Hey guys, Mr. E here, and today we're taking a look at a VEX build for Borderlands. This is the build that I've been using to level my VEX. I am currently sitting at level 33 after about, I want to say like 18 or 19 hours of gameplay, so moving along, not at the best pace in the world, but moving quite easily through content, and I credit a lot of that to this build. Now, I have experimented with a lot of different builds on this tree. I found a couple that work, but this is the one that I'm sticking with for now, and so I wanted to share it with you guys. I'm going to be showing you step by step and level by level where you should be allocating your points, and then we're going to swap over and talk about recommended gear. There's a couple of pieces that you could be looking for out there in the wild that might really help you keep your power above the power curve of the enemies. And notably, I am playing on the hard difficulty, so this should work for all difficulties below that, no problem at all. If you are not a big fan of video build guides or whatever, for whatever reason, I totally understand, and so do my friends at Mobalytics. They are hooking me up, they are helping out the channel, and they are going to be hosting all of my builds on their website. You can go there using the link in the description or the pinned comment, and that's where you'll find all of my Borderlands 4 builds from now on. I think their builder is really great. Honestly, it's definitely better than what I was using before, and it has a lot of neat features like being able to search for other people's builds based on the action skill or based on certain talents that occur in it. So really cool. Go check that out. And if you want that build guide in text form so you can look it up on your phone and then build it in the game at the same time. But with that being said, let's go ahead and crack into this. We need to start with our talent or our action skill, which is Dead Ringer. Dead Ringer is easily the best of these abilities for just progressing through the game. There might be a potential that the other two will accelerate and pick up in power at level 50, but for leveling, these little minions, these especially these specters, the gun minions, are crazy good because you can put them down wherever and they can shoot at range and they pretty much don't miss. They have crazy precision sniper-like aim, and they will put out a surprising amount of damage, and that's what we're really going to lean into here. The first thing we need to do with these guys, though, is we need to grab 5 points for Sanguine Fiends. This is to cover up for the one main weakness of these specters, which is that they degenerate health after about 3 to 4 seconds of existing, and they'll start to decay that health over time, and you need to offset this by getting some kills. Either when they get kills or when you get kills, every one of your minions on the field will get 20% HP, which is really solid, helps to offset that loss. After you grab those first 5 points, we can go ahead and grab our first augment, which is Coven. Coven is incredibly powerful. It gives us and our minions, very importantly our minions, up to 30% crit if we just keep summoning these minions. And that's going to be very important for some stuff we're doing later on, but yeah, it's going to give us a bunch of extra damage, and we can even use the summoning of the Reapers, the melee minion, to give us a bit of regeneration and help regen our specters as well. Although, in most cases, I am just using my charges to summon specters because they're just the better minion, at least with this build. Okay, then we were going to go over to the green tree. So we're down at the blue tree for right now. In the green tree, your next 3 levels, put them into Guns and Needles here. Guns and Needles is a really powerful node here. The fact that it gives you your cooldown for your rep kit, those rep kits can have some seriously crazy effects. You might not have found one yet, but there are some really wild effects out there. I'll show you a couple that I have on my rep kits once I get to the gear portion of this video. And then we have over here 2 points Engraved Sights. We're picking this up because it's just going to give us a little bit of gun handling, which is the tightness of the spread reduction of our shots, as well as critical hit damage, and we are going to want to go for lots of crits with this build, so this works very well. Then we're just trying to get to this next tier, though, for 5 points in Bloodletter. Bloodletter is amazing. This is a huge DPS boost, not only to you, but to your minions, because as long as you are getting a crit, you have a 50% chance to apply this bleed effect. The bleed itself does more damage than the shot that triggered it. So if your minions hit an enemy and they roll that bleed, it's going to basically double their damage, or this is really like 1.5 times damage more or less, and those bleeds stack, which is crazy, and they can be scaled in terms of damage with status effect damage, all that stuff. There's a ton of ways that this Bloodletter talent can be scaled into the late game, and it's just going to pop off for us right here. Remember that our minions can crit because of this over here, because of Coven, so we've got a nice little synergy going on there. Now that we have those points allocated, we need to go back to the blue tree, and the next 5 points are going in Grave Assault. That'll get us up to here, and Grave Assault is just going to boost our fire rate up to about 20%. That's very nice. It boosts us and our minions, lasts for 10 seconds. Not a problem at all. We love some extra DPS, especially considering these minions don't miss, which is better than I can say for myself. Down here, we grab 5 points in Grave Quickening. Definitely must have this talent because it's going to give us that cooldown rate. The more CDR you have on either your class mods or your talents, the better uptime you have on these minions, and therefore the more damage they can put out. You won't have to be scared about, oh, I need to start saving up for a couple charges if the boss is going to come up. You'll just have these charges all the time. And then we're going to, from there, go back to the green tree, and we need to put 3 nodes into Grave Power. Grave Power is incredibly crazy powerful with the right talents alongside it. So what this does is it increases the max stacks on kill skills. You might think that, hey, this is a kill skill, it should increase this by max stacks. But this kill skill doesn't have any stacks. Compare that to this one right here, which does have stacks. You see down there where it says max stacks 3? Now, thanks to Grave Power, the max stacks is 6. So before, where we had about 22% attack speed, now we have 45% attack speed from this one node, provided you can get 6 kills, which is very easy to do because it's not only you fighting these enemies, but it's also your minions. So you and your minions have 45% increased attack speed thanks to this node, and this node right here is going to give us, well, before it would give me, because I have the extra 2 from my class mod, it would give me about 75% CDR cooldown reduction, thanks to those 3 stacks. But with 3 extra max stacks, I can have up to 150% cooldown reduction, which is amazing. So all of these things like this are going to be super powerful to stack, and that's where we want to kind of round out the build. Now we have 4 points left. The next 4 points are going to go down here. We need to get to Dark Pact. This is the next really big power pop for the build. It's going to take a bit of investment to get there. You need 10 more points to get there, but if you put 5 points here, and then from here we have only 17 points left to allocate. So you'd put 6 of them into these 2 nodes right here, into Prismatic Weaponry and Obedient Fiends, and then 1 point into Diner. Then you have 10 points left. We have to pick up Dark Pact as our capstone. That's going to allow us to turbocharge all the minions that are on the field, and then we'll also grab Wither, because Wither is an augment that we'll be able to pick 2 augments with Dark Pact, by the way, which is another reason it's crazy good. Wither is going to allow our specters to cast an ability that will make enemies take extra damage, which is going to multiply all their damage, and then we have 10 points left. Those 10 points are going to go right here into Grave Fiends, which is going to multiply all of our damage and our minions' damage by 12-ish% per stack, up to 6 stacks, thanks to Grave Power over in the green tree, which is like almost 100% damage with a huge uptime. And then the last set of 5 points is going to go over here in Grave. Actually, this is probably the ones you should take with those first 5 points. Grave Implements is going to give you up to 120% gun damage, both you and your minions, which means you guys' DPS is going to go through the roof, and that gun damage also scales your Bloodletter, which is a very powerful effect. It scales that the bleed damage there. Okay, so now that we got that down, let's go ahead and check out our gear here, if I can remember how to actually function my menu. There's not many specific pieces of gear that you need to have for this build to work, but I'm going to give you some recommendations for what you should be looking out for when you're leveling, because as you know, when you're leveling, you're just swapping out stuff all the time. Generally, what I like to have is a weapon that has like a mallow wand that can swap between elements. This will allow you to quickly pull out your weapon and press that C key or press the swap key to get 2 different elemental types of minions on the field in quick succession. So you might be burning down the shields of an enemy and then need to swap to incendiary. Just swap the weapon over, and then you're now attuned. Because if you remember, Vex's passive is the ability to attune her minions and her power damage to whatever weapon she's holding. So this is really good for burning down any world bosses that might be all health or all shields. I've even seen all armor. Just make certain you've got a little bit of elemental somewhere in your 4 weapons for all of those cases. Now, the weapon type that I have really been having huge success with is crit weapons like Jacob's or like Torg. These weapons If you can get crits with them, they absolutely slap, because if you remember, we have a bunch of extra crit damage and gun damage in the tree, and then we also can apply those bleed effects. So when I hit enemies with my crit, shotgun here, it does a quadrillion damage, and then they bleed for a quadrillion damage again, which is absurdly good. So I've been being super carried hard by lots of Jacob's shotguns and stuff like that. Then we need to talk about rep kits. As I said before, rep kits are crazy good. And look at this rep kit here. This is the sort of thing you want to look for in the wild. Accelerator is by far one of the best talents you can get on these rep kits. It gives you double cooldown rate for the duration of the rep kit. Unfortunately, here what I got is a rep kit that has extra duration, so I get 10 seconds shaved off of my cooldown every time I use this, which is crazy. And this one actually even has 2 charges, which is even crazier, so you can stockpile that before you go into the fight. Remember, we're restoring rep kit all the time because of that talent we have on our kill skills. Very powerful stuff. For grenades, there's nothing super special, and I won't say that there's anything like shields wise or enhancement wise that you really want to look out for. Enhancements, I just really think you should be leaning into your own weapon power. Stuff like crit chance and crit damage is very impactful, and you could even do status effect. Damage is pretty impactful with this build as well, because that scales bleeds. There's not a whole lot of different types of damage that don't scale our damage with this build. But for our class mod, what we really want to look out for is stuff that boosts our cooldown rate. Cooldown rate is going to be the limiting factor for this build, because having more minions up more often means more DPS, means a safer build, because you are always backed up by these minions who can pick off multiple targets. So we're going to look for class mods, which unlock at level 20, by the way. You won't be able to find these right away. These class mods are going to be super clutch, because they can keep our cooldowns low, keep lots of minions on the field, and give us some other boosts as well. Boosts that you should be on the lookout for are really anything like Bloodletter. It scales damage like really crazy. If you can get some guns and needles on there, I found lots of different very useful ones. Honestly, when you're in that early game stage and you just picked up your first couple class mods, just grab whatever you can. Extra points anywhere in the tree is very valuable, so don't be afraid to grab them. Things like Prismatic Ichor are also very strong. So that's all the stuff I can recommend so far, guys. I'll let you know how this build shapes up once I hit level 50 with it, but I'm having a great time. I hope you are as well. If you're enjoying the Borderlands content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I appreciate you for watching, and Mystery out. Bye-bye.